Hello everyone, my name is Chin Valdez and today I'm gonna give you an update on our wizard build here in the Ragnarok. So my wizard is currently a level 69. Nice. I still steadily allot a bit of stats into luck just to consistently increase our crit rate. But now I've actually started pumping more dexterity since we're already more or less in the early mid-game-ish. So right now I currently have 53 crit, around 1470 cast speed. So I'm at 127 dexterity currently and 48 luck. And as usual, we still pump points into intelligence to increase our magic attack. So there are other benefits to pumping luck, like increasing crit res, especially if you're into PvP. And a lot of players will be pumping crit. No, everyone's pumping crit because everything can crit. So my crit res right now is at 64. So which gives us a little bit more sustain in PvP. For equipment, it's actually very straightforward and I don't think we need to talk about it too much. But what I'd like to talk about are the cards. So while I did talk about the cards in our previous video, it's still pretty much the same, except I've added a few new things that I just got. And if maybe you have better options in your inventory, you could actually use those instead. So we'll be talking about those today. I'm still using my Elder Willow cards here for the headwears. Of course, you could be running cramp cards too, especially I know everyone is having a huge drought when it comes to Zenny now. No, it's very hard to farm Zenny and it's gonna be like that. No, it's gonna be like that all the way until endgame. You're always gonna be burning Zenny for everything, no, for all progression. You know, that 50M Zenny is nothing. No, it's gonna burn up like wildfire. So if you want, you could also run cramp cards. Cramp cards will help you get more Zenny. For armor, I'm still personally using pouring cards. Pouring cards are very easy to farm. So they're also very easy to upgrade. Of course, you could also go for rocker cards to increase your dexterity and so on. Now, for the weapon, I'm currently using lunatic cards and a drops card. But if you're lucky enough or if you do have the patience, you could actually go farm soldier skeleton cards. Tier 0 soldier skeleton card gives you 6 crit. So it's the same as having a 6-star lunatic card. Or you could actually run both. You could run both lunatic cards and soldier skeleton cards. So 1 crit is equal to 3 luck. Alright, so in terms of stat points, if you want, like you could actually just pump more into dexterity and then just remove luck completely and then just rely solely on cards for your crit. So on my cloak right now, I'm running the Baphomet Jr. card and the Harpy card. So the Baphomet Jr. card gives crit again. Another option would be mastering cards. But again, like I said, 3 luck is equal to 1 crit. So this is equal to having 6 luck. So in terms of stats, I still get more benefit from building Baphomet Jr. cards. So we are not actually farming Baphomet cards. We're crafting it. So we craft it. You can look it up in synthesis and then it will just give you the materials that you need to craft these Baphomet Jr. cards. They're not too hard to build. They're actually pretty easy to craft. So that's what I've been doing. And also Harpy cards. Now Harpy cards, I do farm. Alright, so I do farm Harpy cards and I also craft some. So I got mine to 2 stars right now. It increases my soul strike damage up to 9% right now at 2 stars. And it goes all the way up to 19%. 19% at 7 stars. And you can only equip 1 at a time. Now I already have a Harpy card equipped. I have another Harpy card here. And I'm not able to socket it in. So you can only have 1 Harpy card at a time. For accessories, I'm running kobold cards right now. So I'm actually not sure where I get these kobold cards. Maybe from, I think I get them from card albums. So I have kobold cards here, which gives me more crit again. And then stemworm cards and zerum cards to increase our dexterity. Now for shoes, I am at VIP 3. So I have my Amon-Ra and my Moonlit Flower cards here. But otherwise, I'd go for something that increases your SP and HP potion recovery. Maybe even more so HP potion recovery. Just to give you that extra saving power when it comes to Zenny. Now, as I said, Zenny is becoming very scarce. It's becoming very difficult to build characters. We're all running out of Zenny. So maybe you run something like HP potion recovery here or SP potion recovery. So since I do spam a lot of my AoE skills all the time, I'm running SP potion recovery. For the shield, I'm running Ogre Tooth cards. Now I do like to PvP. So Ogre Tooth cards will reduce damage taken from medium. There is no Thara Frog card as far as I know, or at least right now there's none. So we're running Ogre Tooth cards. You could also run Megalodon. No, it will give you freeze resistance. Other cards later on when we get them, we're going to be using a Marduk card. No, we will need this silence resistance later on. Also gives magic attack, which we do want. Moving forward, you will be wanting these PvP cards. You know, like these crowd control resistance cards will be very useful later on in PvP, especially when we're gonna get more competitive, and then as the new jobs come out, as we transcend into third job and all that, we will be wanting all of these resistance cards for PvP in our headwears. Now, the Brylite card is also very potent. There's a chance to silence enemies, meaning no more Mammonites, no more Bash, no more Sonic Blows. All of these things in PvP, no, also very potent. Of course, Pasana cards are also very oftenly used in PvP, but also very dangerous because, you know, like wizards will always be spamming Stormgust, and hunters will be using crystal arrows in PvP. So this can be double-edged sword. You'll have resistance to Meteor Storm, but you know, that's gonna be the least of your problems. Now, there's not a lot of powerful assassins right now in the Ragnarok because it is very hard to build. No, there are very powerful assassins in Ragnarok. I think the strongest in our server, Megiddo, is an assassin. Now, but if these whales are gonna be attacking you, there's no defense. You know, you're always gonna be dying to them. So I wouldn't really rank this too high right now for priorities in cards. But if, of course, if you are like a fellow whale and then you're gonna be fighting another whale, then of course this will help. But for most players, especially like myself included, like this isn't too useful. Now, for the cloak, there are a lot of really useful defensive cards here. But since we're running a mage, or I'm running a wizard, and we're usually going to be in the back line and not really going to be taking too much damage unless we're mispositioned, we like to focus more on offensive stats, right? That's why we run the Baphomet Jr. card, we run the Mastering card, and you also like highly want this Harpy card. Now, for the footwear, like I said, there aren't too many options right now. So you'd want something like the Egera card or the Zombie card. No? So these will help you pretty much for the saving of your pots. And saving pots means you save Zenny. And then Zenny you will be using to progress your character. So run Egera cards or Zombie cards, whichever you find yourself using up a lot more of. So for accessories, there aren't too many options right now. Like I said, we still run Zerum and Stemworm cards for the dexterity. We also run the Kobold cards for crit. If you have it, you can also run the Horon card, which increases your intelligence. Now, from what I remember, there's also another card called the Anmut card, which we don't have yet. All right, we don't have this. We don't have it right now in the game here in C. But later on, we would be using that as well. For secondary weapon cards, I did mention running Megalodon card for the freeze resistance. But I primarily use Ogre Tooth. No, I'm running Ogre Tooth for the damage reduction against medium-sized monsters. Yeah, there is no Thara Frog card, so right now, like a primary source of damage reduction is going to be coming from the Ogre Tooth. And again, back to our primary weapon cards. No, I'm running Lunatic. It's the easiest to farm, you know, especially if you're not a spender, you're not doing the card gacha or anything like that. You know, Lunatic and Drops cards are going to be your best friend for a while. No, just for a short while, you know, at least for the early game. And we are still in the early game. We're actually still in the very early game right now. Now, a lot of things are still going to be happening through the Ragnarok, especially here in the C, you know, the C server. You know, like we're still very early. It just launched. So right now, like these are going to be your best friend early game. We're going to be getting SP cards later on as well. But moving forward and as needed, of course, we're going to be using size and race cards. No, it's still the same. No, it's still going to be very potent here, especially here in the Ragnarok, or in at least most Ragnarok games. Size, race, and elemental cards are still going to be very potent. That's why Hydra cards, Skill Worker cards are still going to be very potent in PvP. But if you do have it, like if you do have the crit cards, go ahead and use it. No, it's still very strong right now, especially here in the early game. Now for skills, and just a recap, you know, I did mention this in my previous video, but for skills, I do have my max level Soul Strike. Important skills that you'd want to note are Firewall, Frost Driver, Zen Heart, Energy Coat. That's it. That's pretty much it. You could be using Sight, but I didn't really find too much use for it just yet, no, until more jobs start using Hide. You know, right now it's just assassins, and there aren't too many assassins. You know, like there are a lot of really powerful assassins, but just not a lot. You know, like just in general. So you could be using that too as well if needed. And I pretty much just spread it out, like everywhere just to make it look pretty. But otherwise, we won't be using these bolt skills just yet. So we won't be using bolts right now here in the early game. So I actually talk about this in our YouTube live streams. Why is it that Soul Strike is dealing more damage than the bolt skills in general? It all lies in the scalings of these skills. So the bolt skills actually scale only and solely on your magic attack. While Soul Strike here, that's why it's also strong in the early game, because we do get a bit of base damage. Okay, we do get a bit of base damage from Soul Strike, which gives it that small edge but very noticeable edge against the bolt skills, even if against the elemental weakness of the monsters. But later on, as we do get more magic attack, as we level up, we get into the late game, we get more stats, the magic attack that we will have eventually will definitely overpower the base damage that we get from Soul Strike. So in the early game, Soul Strike is very powerful, it's very potent for wizards, but in the late game, the bolt skills will start to shine more. Now, going to Wizard, one of the main skills that I maxed out first was Fire Pillar. This is extremely potent. It helps you a lot in Endless Tower. Definitely the MVP in Hunting Park. Fire Pillar is also very, very strong. If you're fighting against clumps of people in PvP, Fire Pillar is also very, very strong. So I did increase my dexterity. We're at 120 something dexterity when I mentioned. So we don't have casting time anymore for Fire Pillar. So it's definitely spammable. No cooldown, no casting time. Of course, Meteor Storm will be our most powerful skill here. It also has the longest cooldown. But definitely for short fights and if you just want more DPS, like Meteor Storm is very, very, very powerful. Now, I still have a second here for our cast time. Now, eventually, towards the late game, this will go down to 0. No, we won't have casting time for here as well. No, but right now, this is our most powerful burst damage skill, the Meteor Storm. Now, you might be asking, which one do we max out? Lord of Vermilion or Stormgust? We actually use Stormgust quite a lot, but the thing is, me personally, when I play Wizard, I actually use Lord of Vermilion just as much. I don't really use Stormgust without Lord of Vermilion and vice versa. And I always use them in conjunction because I try to maximize the wind damage resistance penalty that enemies receive from Stormgust, and then I just drop Lord of Vermilion them afterwards. Now, whether in PvE or in PvP. Now, so to get the maximum damage output that I can from both skills, from both Stormgust and Lord of Vermilion, because they do have the same scaling, alright? They do have the same scaling in terms of damage. But the thing is, Lord of Vermilion gets that additional oomph from the debuff that Stormgust applies on targets. So that's why I opted to max out Lord of Vermilion more than Stormgust. But if you guys have opinions about this, please do let me know. No, I'm very open to suggestions and comments. No, just let me know in the comment section if I'm saying anything wrong. No, just do let me know. No, I'm just a dude. No, I make mistakes as well. I don't know everything. So if you guys know something that I don't, please do let me know in the comment section. Now, I could pump this up to level 5, but that would mean sacrificing my Quagmire. Now, I use Quagmire quite a lot. I use this against assassins and hunters. It reduces their dexterity quite a bit. So it's very, very potent in terms of their DPS. Now, just reducing the damage of hunters and reducing the damage of assassins. Now, Quagmire is very strong. Of course, everyone knows that it also reduces movement speed. And, movement is king. In these kinds of games, strategically, PvP-wise, movement is king. It's very, very strong. But otherwise, I'd be pumping it here. Either have level 10 here, level 5 here, or level 10 here, level 5 here, or vice versa. And if you're just focused more on PvE, that's probably what because you won't be using this in PvE. Right, you'd be using Quagmire more on PvP. And now for auto skills, I always get this question a lot, not just in the Ragnarok, also for Ragnarok Origin before. But for auto skills, you manual everything. You pretty much just manual everything, especially in PvP. In PvE, it depends on the situation. Right now, we're doing World Boss, so I do have Meteor Storm here on auto with Soul Strike. But, if I'm doing, let's say, Hunting Park or Endless Tower, then I'd have Fire Pillar here instead of Soul Strike. And then of course, if I'm doing PvP, then I'd have Energy Coat. Or if I'm doing some hard PvE content like Hunting Park, or I'm farming higher level mobs, and I also have energy coat here. But otherwise, it's mostly very straightforward. You manual everything, especially in PvP. Manual firewall, manual storm gust, manual frost driver. Like these are the skills that I usually use in PvP. Manual fire pillar. Because enemies are going to be moving around in PvP. They're not going to be standing still. So you'd want to manually target these things. Now, one thing I don't see get talked about a lot is the foods. No, so the food buffs are actually very helpful. Like this one in particular, the stir-fried scorpion tail actually gives you 20 crit. All right, so it gives 20 crit for 15 minutes. Now, the thing is, you can only use one kind of food per level. So I can only use one general dish. I can only use one level 1 dish and one level 2 dish. So me personally, like especially when I'm doing events like guild events or like War of Imperium or something, like my level 2 food of course is gonna be this. Now the stir-fried scorpion tail, which gives crit plus 20. My level 1 food is gonna be golden roasted apple, which increases my intelligence plus 10. And my general dish, I go for apple juice. Apple juice gives me increased casting speed plus 50. So these are the 3 food buffs that I generally use. You get the stir-fried scorpion tail from the recent event. If you weren't able to do it, people do sell it in market, in exchange for diamonds. The other foods that I use, you get from just doing side quests. You get golden roasted apple, and then you also get apple juice. So right now with the said food buffs, and I did level up while we were doing this video. My intelligence goes up to 152 now. Critical hit goes up to 73. So we're at 73 critical hit now. And our casting speed goes up to 1,540. So that's all there is to it. It's not too complicated. It's very straightforward. And I could be making a few mistakes here and there. If I do, and you know something that I don't, please do let me know in the comment section down below. So I'll be trying to live stream more often every now and then. So if you do have concerns, questions that I didn't discuss here, maybe you'd want some beginner's guides or something, you could be asking those questions in my live stream. Just turn on that notification bell so you know when we are uploading new content or when we are live. Drop a like on this video so it actually tells YouTube that you do want to watch our video. So next time when I do have a video, if you've liked the video, then YouTube will show you my next video. And with all of that said, if you've enjoyed the content, consider liking and subscribing. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on our new videos. Hope to see you all on the next one.